Hey everyone, welcome to the Port Church online. I hope you're all rugged up and warm. The weather has absolutely changed. It's been freezing the last few days, so hopefully you're all rugged up and warm and ready to be encouraged. I just thought I'd give you a really quick update on what's happening at church with all of the COVID-19 changes. There's been a lot happening over the last few weeks, and we would expect that in the next couple of weeks there'll be some more changes. I know everyone, like me, we're really keen to get back into having church and being able to gather together, and this week it's been really exciting that some of our groups have been able to meet together again, which is a really good first step in the right direction. We had youth on Friday night. I know they had bonfires all over the place, which is great in a safe way, but it was great to see so many young people, and I heard that there are a lot of new young people coming along as well, so I think we should just continue to pray for them and pray for all of our groups as we start to meet again. As the restrictions lift over the next few weeks, we'll be meeting again as a church leadership group to work out what we can do, and hopefully with the next level of restrictions we'll actually be able to go back to having some Sunday services in some form. So keep praying for that. Also, I just wanted to let you know that God has been pouring out His blessing on our church. We have been so fortunate to get a number of grants come through from both the state and local governments to support the work that we've been doing in the community. It's such a vital time for people in the community because a lot of people are suffering financially, emotionally, with all of the stress and pressure that the virus has brought. So we have been blessed to be a blessing to our community, and I just ask you guys to keep our community in your thoughts and prayers as we go forward, but you'll see over the next 12 months we'll be able to just pour out blessing into the community, which is really great. And also, when we do finally have church back, you might see a few changes to the building. Nothing major, nothing terribly exciting, but small steps make a long journey. So when we are able to have church again, something to look forward to come into the building, you might see a few things that are a little bit different. I wanted to mention a few prayer points as well that I think are really important. I'd encourage you to add these to your prayer list. I just really want to encourage you to keep Emily and Ashok and their family, the girls, in your prayers. Most of you would know that Emily is going through some treatment and a bit of a tough time, and her message last week in this season for her was incredible. So I just encourage you to keep them in your prayers and keep believing for a miracle, because our God is a God of miracles. I want to, like I said before, encourage you to pray for our community as well. It's a tough time for a lot of people. I pray that we pray that they get a real sense of God's spirit and presence through this time, that there's a peace and comfort even in this time of uncertainty. And lastly, I encourage you to pray for our world in general. I know that's a really big prayer, but not only are we going through COVID-19, but there are some really significant issues in our world that have been exposed recently. And I don't want to make any kind of political statements here, but I know that God is a God of love and God is a God of equality, and there is a lot of inequality happening in our world right now. And I think that as Christians, we should be playing our part to do whatever we can to support and change this world for the better, so that we can all be as equal as possible and not have something like the colour of our skin determine our standing in society. So I think that's a really significant issue. I know a lot of people are going to be attending the rallies and the marches, which I think is really great. Keep your distance, but it is important that we show our support for all of our community. So I want to get into the message today, and like I said, this time, these last few months have been particularly difficult. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unknown, even from day to day or week to week. But I wanted to assure you today that God does have a plan. God has a plan, and nothing is a surprise to Him. God is never caught off guard. And I want to say that I personally don't believe that the coronavirus was part of God's plan. I don't believe that God brought about the virus to wipe out, hundreds of thousands of people and bring, global economic depression and recession. But I do believe that as Romans 8:28 says, that we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God is opportunistic. God will never let an opportunity go by without having some sort of influence and using that situation for his own good if we allow him to. But this is a test of faith, and I recognise that our faith, more than anything, has been tested in these times because we just don't know exactly what's going to happen. I want you to turn to John 15, 1-2. If you've got your Bibles, you're probably sitting on your couches. If you don't, I think it's going to be on the screen just under here. Thank you, Michael. John 15, 1-2, it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Now, I hope you're ready for the Greek word of the week. In fact, I have three actually for you today, but the first one I want to talk about is the fact that this scripture talks about cutting off and pruning. And the word that they use for cutting off is eido, and that means to take away or remove. Now, if you think about when you're pruning, if any gardeners are out there, I know Pastor Ben's been doing some gardening on his holidays this week. He's probably done lots of pruning. When you prune, you do cut off. So it's a very similar word, but it actually means to take away or remove. The second word for pruned is kataeido, which comes from the word kataeidos, which is very different because it actually talks about or means to be purged or to have the impurities removed, all of the undesirable elements. Basically, it means to be cleaned. So when this scripture talks about being cut off, it means to be taken away and removed because of its unfruitfulness, but the fruitful parts are also taken away and removed for the purpose of being cleaned and purified. Now, I've got two props for you today. Here are two sticks. One of these sticks has been pruned, and the other stick has had all of the unfruitfulness cut off of it. And the reason I brought these sticks in is because I think that this is a really good example of where we're at right now in this season with God. We have two sticks. One has been cut off, and the other one has been pruned. The thing is, when you look at these sticks, there's no way to tell which one is which. One of them has been pruned, one of them has had all of the unfruitfulness cut off, but just by looking at them, we have no idea which one is which. And I think that's important for us to remember at this time because we've had so many things taken away from us. We've had church, relationships, community, closeness, even physical touch, being able to stand next to someone that you love, whether it's a family member or a friend, being able to stand next to them is one thing, but not being able to shake their hand or give them a hug or put your arm around them. Some of those things are really, really important for us as a community and in our relationships. Jobs have been taken away. The freedom to move around, to travel, to do a lot of things. All of those things have been taken away from us at this time. And the encouragement I have for you today is I truly believe in faith that this is a time where God has pruned and he has taken away. There are two very different outcomes to those things, but in the moment, in the sticks, right in this season, they look exactly the same. And again, for you gardeners, you will know that you prune in the right season so that the fruit can be as fruitful as possible in the right season. It's difficult to know which is which. And if you're like me, you'll want to know the answer and you'll seek God for the answer and you'll want to know the purpose. But it is difficult to pin down a specific purpose because at the moment, we don't see the outcome. All we know is what is in front of us. And I want to encourage us to go through this season of allowing God to take away the things that we don't need and increase in fruitfulness the things that we do need. There are three key things that I think that we really need to focus on in this time and over the next little bit of time. And all of those can actually be found in Romans 12:12. And it says, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer." And I think, as an encouragement, those are the only three things that we can do right now, is to be joyful in hope. You know, hope is an incredibly powerful word. Nobody, no matter what, no matter COVID virus, the issues that are going on around the world, financial difficulties, recessions, unemployment, inequality, none of those things can rob us of the hope that we have inside of us. And a lot of people put their hope in different things. But as Christians, we put our hope in God, who never changes, who is the same today as he was yesterday, as he will be in the future. We can rest in our hope of God, knowing that he has our best interests at heart. And yes, times are difficult, but we can be confident of the fact that God either prunes or takes away, all for the purpose of growing us and making us more healthy and fruitful. And the second thing in that is to be patient in affliction. And here's your third Greek word for the day. And this word is incredibly important for us right now. And it's also really fun to say. It's thlipsis. Thlipsis. Be careful where you say that, because you might spit on everyone as you say it. But this word, affliction, is translated to mean hemmed in or to be contained. And at the moment, we, by this virus, have been hemmed into our homes. We've been constrained and contained in our homes, and we haven't had the freedom that we would normally expect from day to day. God says, be patient in this time of being hemmed in. Be patient in affliction. And the reason we have patience is because we know that this is a season. This will not last forever. Life may never be the same again. And that is a fact that we will continue to deal with probably, over the next few months, but, maybe even over the next few years. We don't know what the future holds, but we can be patient because we have a hope of what God will do for us in the future, the new season to come. Be patient in affliction. And lastly, be faithful in prayer. And this is incredibly important at this time. Philippians 4:6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, with hopefulness, present your requests to God." Be anxious for nothing. Be patient. Be hopeful. Be diligent in prayer. Be faithful in prayer, knowing that God has everything under control for us. I know that, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know about you, but it has been freezing the last couple of days. It feels like we live in the Arctic. But what that also tells me is that the seasons have changed. This is a new season. We are into winter, which is not always that pleasant, but it is a new season. And I don't know about you, but having these COVID restrictions released and increased so that we can start doing more things, it does feel like the tide has turned, that the fear of this virus and all of the things that are happening around the world have changed. And even the horrible situation that's happening all around the world, but particularly in America at the moment with the riots and the protests, even in that difficult situation, it feels like it's time for change. This will not be for nothing, that God has a plan, that the deaths and the inequalities and the injustice that has been suffered will not be in vain, that there is a change in the season, and we as people are no longer willing to put up with that injustice for our brothers and sisters. There is a change in the season. And I want to encourage us to really take that on. If you've been feeling down and depressed maybe, or even under the weather or frustrated at the situation that is happening around us and around the world, be hopeful. Don't give up, because God has a plan. For those who follow him, he wants the best for us. And just like these sticks, winter is not the season for growing necessarily, but at some point in time, one of these sticks is going to wither away and die, and the other is going to produce the most amazing fruit that was always part of God's plan. And my encouragement to you is be faithful, be hopeful. Don't get so focused on what has been taken away from us. Let's be focused on what God wants to provide for us in the future. The fruitfulness, not the stuff that's going to get thrown into the fire and burnt away and turned into ashes. We want the fruit, the healthy, abundant blessing of God that we can then be a blessing with as well. It is an incredible time to be alive, and I don't mean that to sound cliche, but there are unprecedented events happening in our world and in our lives that other generations have not had the opportunity to experience. And we are pioneers. As a generation, as a community, we have the opportunity to pioneer something new and to be leaders in our community and in our world, and to stand for something that may not always be popular. But we have the opportunity to stand for what is right, not for what is popular, and to stand with those that have been downtrodden, who suffer injustice, not by their own fault, not through anything that they have done in their own life, but purely by the circumstances in which they are surrounded. Our job as Christians, in our community, in our world, is to be an example, is to show the hope and the love of God, to show that everybody is equal under His eyes. And we can do that by the way we speak, the way we act, even the things we maybe put on Facebook, by educating ourselves and understanding why some of these things are important in life. God has taken away in this season some of those things that are unfruitful. But I know that in the right season, that fruit will start to blossom and grow and produce even more fruit. And remember, that word around pruning means to take away, to clean and to purify so that it can be pure. And that's God's plan for us. So I want to encourage us today. This is an amazing time in our community to be alive. It's a great experience, and it is what we make of it. I'm really looking forward to being able to meet together for this season to be behind us. And I'll say again, I do feel like we are in the midst of a new season coming forward, and to just be hopeful. No one can take hope away from us. We can be hopeful in the good things that God has for not only us as individuals, but for our church and for our communities and for our world in general. Our role is just to remain patient, hopeful, and faithful in prayer. I hope you've been encouraged by this message. I know that even for me, it's really challenged me this week with some of the things that have been going on in life, to just remember that God takes away things that are not fruitful in our lives and not helpful. Sometimes we don't know why that happens, and sometimes we feel like those things are really important to us and really fruitful, but God knows. And pruning and cutting off both feel exactly the same at the same time. We don't know, which one is going to come back and which one won't, but I know and I'm hopeful that we serve a God who has the answer to that, who wants the best for us, not only us, for our world and our communities. He wants us to flourish and to be fruitful as well. I just want to remind you as well, stick around after this message for the Q&A session and some worship. And excitingly, this Wednesday night coming, I think we'll mention it again in the Q&A, but this Wednesday night coming, we're having our first devoted night, which I think will be really significant. There will be a limit of 20 people, so we'll have to let you know how that works. But devoted is an amazing time for us to come together, pray and worship as a group of people, as a group of believers. And even before this time, the devoted and worship nights have been amazing. I really feel like there is a great sense of expectation for this Wednesday night, and it'll be, I think, the foundation for this new season for us as a church. So thank you for tuning in. Stick around for the live Q&A. Send in some nice questions, not necessarily difficult, But ask away, ask questions. I'll have my sticks with me so that you can show them again. But stick around, listen to the worship, and then tune in for the Q&A. Thanks.